I'd say one of the coolest designs is Forearms himself, a brute type of transformation with tons of raw strength and just power in general. One could say he's the consistent brick that Ben pulls out. He redirects an energy blast from Gwen, showing his raw power, smashing a guy into these pillars, showing his power. You gotta respect it. Look at this ultra massive baseball bat he tosses around. Implied he can kind of do a thunderclap? Look at all that force, building size thing. Respect that raw power. Based on how much damage he can produce compared to the size of this monster, I would say he can definitely lift up a blue whale, be able to produce this much energy to harm a being this big. He slugged out with the Mayan god of death, causing all this debris crumbling, breaking sections of the stone tomb, wouldn't you say? Punches hard enough to where the steel bridge under them caved in. Say he can easily level buildings if he felt like it, or houses. Multiple support pillars, he can punch folk hard enough to go through them. Things that hold up bridges, strong enough to collapse a portion of a tunnel is raw power. Reacting, punches into the giant robot, even though it's bigger than him. This large rubber band ball he can lift up. This large stone pillar that has to be way over hundreds of tons. He can just move it that easy. More incredible feats of strength. Look at all of that. He can lift. This stuff shows no effort. Like, this is little effort. He can lift up stuff this dense. More than one, too. Strength. Forearms has some good reaction time. This gargoyle trying to blitz him. Literally way too slow for Forearms. Even rockets seem to be slow to him. He catches it, more than one. Dodges and blocks lasers fired by this robot. See how he just reacts to it? He's durable enough to get launched through multiple floors. As strong as this alien is, he's still not the strongest one. Forearms is definitely one of the strongest ones, lifting around hundreds of tons with ease. I would say he can lift over 200 tons without really knowing for a fact his lifting power limit. I mean, he can thunderclap and make shockwaves to hurt beings that are 50 times bigger than him. I'm just saying. The fact that he can lift up pillars this big pretty much confirmed he can lift some of the heaviest aircrafts in the world, which would mean I would say he can lift over 700 tons. There's aircrafts that weigh around this range as well, so that's not no surprise for him. And it seems like he does this stuff casually, especially that pillar one. There's another alien on a swamp fire that has lifted up some heavier stuff than this, but which one of these do you think is stronger? Because I would consider Forearms to be more of a brute than Swamp Fire. And if Swamp Fire can do this stuff when it comes to physicals, wouldn't you say that Forearms should be able to do this as well? You know what I'm saying? I personally just feel like anything that Swamp Fire can do physically, Forearms should be able to do better. But that's none of my business when it comes to just brute force, when it comes to physical strength, right? That's what he specializes in, right? He's the tank, right? This doesn't apply for all his forms, though. It's just this one in particular, you know. So for debate. Pushing over this massive weather tower, decently strong nonetheless. All of that weight. So yeah, he's still pretty strong. It's one of those things where if Swamp Fire can lift up something that weighs hundreds of thousands of tons, and he's not even considered the brick type character or brute type character, I would say Forearms should be able to do this as well. Just from common sense, kind of. Plus, it seemed like some effort was put into it through this form. Like ripping it out the ground with it. That much weight. He should be able to lift over hundreds of thousands of tons. Still a low ball considering how hard he can punch. He should be able to punch pretty freaking hard considering what Humongosaur can do. Even though I do believe Humongosaur is physically stronger, I don't think he's astronomically wicked to the point where he's just like a feather. Unless we're talking about like Ultimate Humongosaur or something like that. Not to mention that Humongosaur lifted the Washington Monument, which is calculated to be 91,000 tons. So it kind of adds up. One can even speculate or argue in the future that Forearms is a planet buster based on the fact that he's able to harm things that Way Big can harm, like Kevin from the future, for example. He can still harm the same Kevin in this Forearm state, consistently harm him. The same Kevin that was able to take hits from Way Big, got hurt from him though, but recovered quickly, yet Forearms was still useful against him. Yeah, he looked like he was sleepy here. I still think Forearms is below Way Big, but it's the fact he can harm a being that Way Big was fighting, then didn't find him totally useless, meaning he wasn't a complete useless flea compared to Way Big. Could future Forearms be a planet buster based on the fact that we know Way Big is already a planet buster? You know, that's something to think about. Respect Forearms. Forearms knows how to grapple and wrestle. Yeah, literal wrestling hold. Look how hard he can strike, making ripples in the bridge. Look how he kicks this pillar in the air. Forearms can hold up a falling section of a building, throws semi-truck far in the air, because he's that strong. Holds back this massive robot, tears apart this large robot, piece by piece. Lifts and punches this large galvanometric mech. It's a lot to respect for Forearms, you know?